So let's test some of these tools out there that can detect whether or not text has been generated by AI. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write up an analysis of the elements of a business model canvas. So maybe this is similar to an assignment you might have your students complete, where you want them to write a bunch of text. So what we'll do is we'll take the text that ChatGPT generates here, we'll copy this and we'll paste it into these different tools, and we'll see how they fare and get a sense of where their strengths and their weaknesses are. So I'll pause the video now while ChatGPT does its thinking, and then we'll come back. Okay, so ChatGPT has come up with a great detailed analysis of the elements of a business model canvas. This should be helpful test text for us. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to take a look at our first tool here. It's called GPT-0. You can paste in a bunch of text here, or you can upload certain file types. Then you click Get Results, and then it will analyze it. And in this case, it says your text may include parts written by AI. So you can see here, even these tools that are designed to analyze these texts don't get it right 100% of the time. We clearly have written this entire thing by AI, and it's sort of highlighting the regions that it thinks are most suspect. But in general, it's not quite sure whether this was written by AI or not. So what you can do is you can take a combination of different tools. So ChatGPT-0, it's sort of like, it's kind of on the fence. If we compare it to something like this, so this is business model breakdown. This is the content from our curriculum, which was definitely not written by an AI. And we paste this into something like ChatGPT. Paste it in here, get results. It says this text is written entirely by a human. And it has these two measures on the bottom here that basically say, how likely is it that any given word was the most likely word for an AI model to pick next? Because that's how AI models work, or the GPT models work. They come up with whatever word is preceding it. It comes up with a measure of what's likelihood that the next word is going to be the best word to pick. And so this measure, perplexity here, is a measure of how often was the word chosen that was the most likely for an AI model to choose. And then the burstiness score is basically how much variation is there, how on average, how often is it picking or not picking the most common word. And in this case, you can see we're off the charts in terms of we're not picking the most common AI word pretty frequently. So that's what human text looks like. But like I was saying, we might be able to go and you can use different tools, and they may be able to give you a different sense of whether or not AI text is, or any text has been generated by an AI. So here we're on a tool called AI Text Classifier. It's by the same people who make ChatGPT, and we'll put in the text here from ChatGPT and we'll see what it says. It says it's likely to be AI generated. Now, it doesn't give us much more data than that. It just is saying it's very likely to be AI generated. So, okay, so we've got one tool that says may or may not be, another tool that says it is generated or is likely to be generated. Here's another tool called AI Content Detector. And this one just takes in snippets, so it only wants 1,500 characters. So I'll just take in a few elements here. We'll take away a few more. And then we'll get a sense here. And then this tool says 30% chance that it's human generated. Now you can see here that the audience for this tool is people who want to avoid detection by AI detection tools. And so that's something to think about here, that you have access to these tools to detect AI writing, and so do your students. So they can come in here and they can make changes to this until they get something that passes all of these hurdles. And in fact, there are other things that students can do. So they can say, hey, rewrite this, but use a less formal tone and make a few minor typos. So now it's gone a little extreme with the let's break this down. a dope tool for new business models, etc. But we'll take this text in and then we'll see how it compares. And you should just know that like your students have the ability to go and modify the tone, the content, and even play with the same tools that you do. So we'll talk about some of the other ways that you might be able to address this in your class after we analyze this. Overall, the business model canvas is a sick tool to help you stay focused. Okay, so let's say we got this in this text from our students that we wanted to measure it. We'll go back to ChatGPT 0 or GPT 0. I'll clear that out. I'll paste it in. And so now this tool says the text is written entirely by a human, which is definitely not true. So we just pasted in the sick assessment of the business model canvas, and this tool is off the mark for sure. Okay, we'll come in here. I'll paste this in, submit. And then even the tool that by the people who wrote ChatGPT says this text is unlikely to be AI generated. And then if I come in here and I paste in the same thing, analyze text, it says 100% human generated content. So these tools, they may be useful, but it's basically an arms race, right? Like, you know, we can detect some level of AI, but you can actually use the AI to defeat the AI detection. So there are other ways to kind of think about how to work around this in your class. One of them is asking students to actually do multiple revisions of their writing. So when they have when they write up something, have them actually document it in maybe like a Word document, track their changes and say, hey, I want you to make multiple iterations of this throughout the course and keep updating it. And so if you see them make individual changes on a Word document, then you're going to be in a good space, a better space. Another way is to focus more on presentations in class, like have them do presentations where they're speaking about what they've learned. And then another option is to make everything personal, that everything needs to be a personal reflection on an experience they've had and how they will use it going forward. It will be harder and less efficient for them to use AI to generate responses for those kinds of questions. All right, if you have any other thoughts or questions or feedback, just hit us up at our email address, help@teachinge.org. Cheers.